What's going on, guys? Stan here with Jerusalem Naturals, and today I'm going to go ahead and make use of my compost tea. I've had it going for about 72 hours now, and in that sweet spot, well, let me break it down from 24 hours, right? When you're in 24 hours of brewing a compost tea, especially my compost tea that's all organic, with about 30 different components and decomposables in there that will supply nutrients to your plant, what you want to do is brew it for a little bit past that, because I've taken in consideration not just the microbacteria but also fungus, right? Good beneficial fungi, mycorrhizal and endoryzal fungi that will help penetrate your roots of your plants and supply more nutrients. So in that 24-hour time span, you're really multiplying bacteria. The most you're multiplying in that range is bacteria. I didn't put any nutrient in there. Nutrient meaning like maybe some sugars of some sort. Molasses is a very popular one that people use. Brown sugar. I didn't use anything like that, right? So I'm not expecting exponential ppm readings, but I am expecting exponential microbe and mycorrhizal fungi multiplication. And when you get past that 48-hour to 72-hour threshold of brewing your compost tea, you really go into brewing that fungus more than the bacteria, because things have had a good amount of time to sit in that water and multiply, break down. Now you're getting into decomposing of things in this compost tea. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys just what it looks like, just what I'm looking for. That lets me know, okay, this is full of life. The microbes are still very active in there, and I know based off the time span that I'm multiplying some good fungus as well. So check it out. All right, that's what you want to see right there. When you see all of those bubbles, you see all that, it looks kind of nasty, it looks gross, but when you see all of those bubbles in there and that froth, that's how you know the microbes are very alive, they're very active. And like I said, through time and experience and research, I know that there's good fungus growing in there, if not beginning to grow, already multiplied in a substantial rate. So what I'm going to do today is go ahead and take off that lid. I'm going to do a ppm reading. My ppm reading is just going to tell me how much of what is in my proprietary blend of amendments dissolved into the water. It's not going to give me an accurate reading of how much microbes and how much bacteria and how much fungus has reproduced in there. That comes from doing this for over 15 years, seeing the difference after I apply it to my plants, and also, like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know the ins and outs. I know the failure points, the success points, and things of that nature. So when I first started, it was about 500 something ppm. It was bouncing between 500 and 600, which is perfectly strong enough for me to feed my plants. Anything over, they say 200, which is a very weak solution when it comes to feeding your plants are going to recognize it, absorb it, and you'll see results. The strongest I've ever gotten my compost teas was at about 2,000 ppm. That's the strongest I've ever seen anybody brew a compost tea. I haven't hit those numbers since. I put a lot of nutrient solution in there. I think I used honey that time. But I stopped using honey because honey is actually antibacterial and it's antifungal. And although it might supply some bacteria a good nutrient solution to multiply, I want every type of biodiverse bacteria in there to have something they can multiply on, feed on, and really just give me that exponential multiplication. You know what I'm saying? Within 24 to 48 hours, I was at like 2,000 ppm. So now I use molasses and I use sugar. I also use a secret solution as well. I'll let you guys know that a little later. But for now, I am reading at 770, 779, 780, somewhere around there. It's still kind of reading. It's still going up, actually. So close to 800. Yeah, it's going to break 800 in a minute. So about 800 ppm. That's not bad at all. My plants will have nutrients to immediately use. They won't have to wait for the breaking down process of my amendments in order to access those nutrients. That is one of the best kind of a cheat codes when you start brewing compost teas. You're giving your plants immediate nutrients that they can use. Also, the bacteria and the fungi, guys. That's what I'm really going after. So much so that I am going to be dropping some charcoal in there and making some bioactive biochar. Right? I always get the 100% natural hardwood charcoal. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop them in there. I'm going to break them up. They don't have to be very fine or anything like that. I'm going to break them up. I'm going to put them in there. And what that's going to do is, charcoal is very porous, meaning there's a lot of pores, microscopic little pores within the actual charcoal coming from the structure of wood that it's from, that those microbes are going to penetrate and multiply within the charcoal, allowing me to take this charcoal, put it into my pots, break it up, grind it up into a fine powder, and I will be literally inoculating microbes within my soil, and they can stay within this charcoal for a pretty long time. So far after I've used this compost tea, I'll have these in a very moist environment, allowing those microbes to thrive and still be alive without going dormant. And I'll grind them up into a powder and eventually use them within my proprietary blend of amendments. That is how I continue to keep that cycle of good bacteria within my amendments at all times. Theoretically, I can keep that same genus, that same strand of bacteria that I've had years and years ago when I first started to perfect my craft of making my amendments within today's batch by storing them within this biochar, right? So that's why I'm not really too concerned about anybody trying to take my recipe and do what I do, because I have bacteria and fungus that I've been using for years that you can't replicate. Whatever you do will be what you do. What I got, you can't really replicate it. You can't duplicate it. Because not only do I have bacteria from years ago, I'm still adding new things, new amendments, new decomposables to my compost, and also to my proprietary blend of amendments, that the certain culture of bacteria and fungus that I've cultivated, I mean, I've done that, bro. You got to do what you do. But in the meantime, come on down to Jerusalem Naturals, check out my products, check out my proprietary blend of amendments, use it in your garden, and see what the hype is about. 15 years of experience, guys. I've been doing this for quite some time. And the Most High has blessed me with a talent and a gift. And who am I to hold it to myself? This is for everyone, right? For the best affordable price possible. You can't get this quality anywhere on the market. You can't get this type of attention and time into each and every ingredient on the market. The big companies and even smaller companies can't necessarily afford. I'm not even taking a slide at them. They can't necessarily afford to put all 30-something ingredients into their proprietary blend of amendments, fungus, bacteria. I mean, I've even taken in consideration silica, so your plants can have silica uptake, which is going to make them nice and hardy and resistant to pest pressure. So I've done all of that, and I'm bringing it to the public. And I have to actually go harvest some collard greens again. This will be the third harvest of collard greens. And I only planted them the end of November. We're just now hitting mid-February. And I'm telling you guys, I'm harvesting over and over and over again. This harvest will be pretty much because we're expecting to see another freeze, and the actual containers that I have to cover them so that the actual frost isn't actually touching the leaves isn't as big as how robust they've grown. So I have to cut them just so they can fit in their protective enclosure. It's not a bad issue to have, but tell you what, we're gonna have some collard greens tonight. We're going to have some collard greens tonight. So this is pretty much, I might end up throwing the whole bag in there, but this is pretty much what you're looking at here, right? I have my amendments in these little sacks that I've got from the paint supply store, Sherman-Williams, and they basically go over buckets to sift out paint, right? And they work excellent as compost tea bags. They hold it. I have the aeration right there, and what happens is that aeration will keep agitating, knocking all those beneficial bacteria into the solution. I have another bag here, right? And I'll just give it a good squish to kind of push out a lot of it as well, so it can also incorporate into the solution. And they don't need to stay in there that long. I mean, the charcoal can stay in there for a few hours, just so you know that it's fully saturated. And then you got it. You got bacteria that you harvested and encapsulated within that charcoal. So that's what I'm doing. I might as well throw this whole thing in there. I got enough charcoal to cook with, so I'm not even tripping on that. I just want to make sure that they're in small enough pieces. The smaller pieces you have, the deeper the penetration of the bacteria and fungus. Right? This is going to be great. So what I'm going to do, and I'll clue you guys in the next video, is I have a bunch of plants that I have to, I got to feed this compost tea to, right? Check this out. We had a freeze like 3 weeks ago, bad freeze. And, you know, I brought all my plants inside. We went back to like 90 degrees. So this is how I know that this temperature, this weather that we're having is not natural, because this doesn't happen in nature, right? Naturally. 20 degrees and we go up to 90 the next week. It's just, it doesn't happen like that. So whatever weather warfare is going on out there, it's, they're being diligent with it. I'll put it that way. So now I am back to having my plants inside, and they were doing so good outside. I mean, they were starting to flower and everything, starting to really bounce back from the difference in light, from natural light to synthetic light. Look at all this new growth that was coming on this. I think this is my key lime. This is my key lime right here. And it was even starting to put out some flowers. So I am hoping that it can bounce back. I mean, my olive was starting to put off some new growth. Look at that. So, yeah. We're back to bringing everything inside the house, or at least a lot of things inside the house. And speaking of inside the house, this is my closet. This is my closet. My poor strawberry is struggling down there. And my thyme. I got my self-heal struggling. So much things are struggling because I've had to bring them inside for so long. And I have a birdhouse gourd that is going absolutely crazy in here. So much so that I have the perfect structure birdhouse gourd right here. I am hoping that this baby matures and gets as big as possible. I'm telling you guys, look at that bottleneck structure right here. You got the nice beginning of the bottleneck, that indentation. Oh, that's going to be perfect. That's going to be picture perfect Coca-Cola bottle shape. I got this one here that I pollinated as well. Everything had to be hand pollinated. Got this big boy down here trying to grow and get big on me. So I hopefully it does get big. If not, I'm not even worried about that, because that's the star of the show right there. And I had to spray it for aphids. Aphids was going crazy in here. But it's all good. My paracetamol, we still have paracetamol on deck for you guys to order. Check out, I got Leaf of Life. I got ginger over there in the background. Everything is looking good. And I have my seedlings for my upcoming projects and for people's gardens that I will be working on in the future. I'm making sure that I have more than enough plants to show love to them, really make their backyards or their patio spaces really bountiful. You know what I'm saying? So we spare nothing around here. You know what I'm saying? We put it all in for you guys. And yeah, hopefully you guys appreciate it and really get into the gardening way of life, natural way of life. You know what I'm saying? So until next time, guys, peace and keep growing.